Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This week's video sees us visit a Roman town hidden in South Wales that was founded in the late 1st century. Modern day Caerwent used to be known as Venta Silurum to the Romans, stretching to around 44 acres, with much of it enclosed within 2nd century walls. In this video you'll see the remains of a Romano-British temple, a forum with excavated houses, and a basilica, and also the remains of Roman shops. So join us whilst we explore one of Wales's best kept secrets here at Caerwent Roman Town. There are a number of different routes into the Roman town that are scattered over the settlement, but we started our journey here at the Romano-British temple. The temple that we see now is quite substantial in terms of the remains of a temple complex. This was built around AD 330, late in the life of Caerwent town. We're not really sure what deity or deities were worshipped here, but the time period suggests that it was probably not related to Christian worship, though by this time Christianity was at least supposedly the official religion of the Roman Empire. The temple was entered through a long hall facing the street, with a passage giving onto a sacred courtyard enclosure. From the courtyard you can pass to a walkway around a square inner sanctuary, the most sacred part of the site, with a niche at the rear for the sacred objects. The temple layout is extremely clear from the surviving foundations that we can see today. This was a very large complex and is still very impressive, even without its walls and roof. Whilst we move on to the forum and the basilica area, I'd like to explain a little bit about Caerwent's origins. Interestingly, the town was the capital of the Silures, who happened to be the most important and powerful British tribe of South Wales. The site was likely founded around 75 to 80 AD and served as a settlement of the native Silures tribe. The Silures had put up constant fight against the Roman conquest since 48 AD, waging effective guerrilla warfare on the invaders and defeating the Second Legion's forces. In 75 AD, the Roman fortress of Isca, now Caerleon Roman fortress, was established nearby, and whether the Silures agreed to the Roman terms or were militarily defeated, by 78 AD they were eventually subdued and resided here at Caerwent. Inside the town walls, the Roman laid out streets on a traditional grid system. The original town houses would have been made of timber atop stone foundations, but these were later rebuilt in stone. In the centre would be the forum and basilica. The forum would be a type of open marketplace that would have been surrounded by rows of columns that would be able to support roof shading shops, offices and taverns, whilst the cobbled central surface would provide space for market stalls. On the ground floor of each of the shops, you would have had a single room with a large open front, which would have more than likely closed with timber shutters. The basilica occupied one side of the forum. This building would be huge, measuring at 260 feet long and 182 feet wide, which would hold court cases, ceremonies and other events that would take place. In the northern part of the basilica, a row of administrative rooms would separate from the basilica, which would serve as the council chambers. Caerwent grew to have a thriving population of around 3,000 inhabitants at the height of its prosperity in the 2nd century, and the town had all of the facilities that you might expect in a civilised Roman town. This would include a combination forum and basilica complex, public baths, town houses and a temple, each with their own central heating systems using hypocausts. The town of Caerwent was essentially likened to a mini Rome, and there doesn't appear to have been any military presence, meaning that the town was self-governing. The new town was slow to expand, but it seems likely the population was swelled with retired veterans of the 2nd Legion based at Caerwent. Even in the first half of the 4th century, the town was experiencing a period of prosperity, judging by the number of new buildings built then and their lavish decoration. However, at the end of the 4th century, Roman armies withdrew from Britain to fight in other parts of the empire. It was probably then that Caerwent began to decline, although it was still inhabited. Little is known about the settlement in the next 100 years, but at the beginning of the 6th century it became the capital of the Gwent kingdom, and it is from this period that the modern name of the city comes from. Caerwent translates as Gwent stronghold. From here you can wander around to some of the other sites that are located in the Roman town. Just a very short walk away you can head to what's now known as Pound Lane. The impressive remains of the row of Roman shops are displayed on Pound Lane. They comprise of walls and floors of multiple buildings from various phases of occupation. It would be from the 2nd century that public baths, craft workshops and shops would be built, and this included a blacksmith's forge. The shop buildings would be located on its main street, running right through the centre of the town, from east to west. It would combine both a commercial function, with the front part of the street side closed with timber shutters, and a residential function too, being at the back and floor of the building, including utility in the very back of the house, in which the workshops were organised. Most of the individual shops would occupy a single plot, but this would be separated by narrow passages. This meant that they would be able to have access to the back of the buildings, but more importantly, they provided space for the gutters so that water could flow from the roofs. It would be here that you could find everything you could need to go about your daily life, and even find wonderful handmade crafts that would be enjoyed by families. From bakers to clothing stores, the Roman people would be able to enjoy whatever they wanted. Most of the shops would be a single building, but within 50 years of the shops thriving here, 2 shops were joined into one, and it became evident that the owners of those shops had become that wealthy that they would be able to take over their neighbours' premises. From the shops in the southern part of town, you'll notice the remains of a large courtyard house, or what's known in the Roman Empire as a Mansio. This would be similar to describe it as a place for lodging or an inn. This building would be an important public building in which couriers and officials would be able to rent rooms and exchange horses or any other business. The building consists of a complex of rooms, all grouped from the 3 sides around a courtyard. It was excavated between 1981 and 1984, and it reveals a very interesting layout and feature. It was noted that most of the rooms would be brightly painted with wall plaster, whilst others would be heated by underfloor hypocausts, and mosaics would decorate the floors of the rooms and corridors. There were also traces of storerooms and a corn dryer, which might suggest that this was more like a farm or the residence of a wealthy landowner with farming interests. We've shown you a few of the things that you can experience when visiting the Roman town, but we would most definitely recommend a walk around to see the town fortifications that stand at around 5.2 metres high, when once they would form a complete circuit with towers and 4 entrance gates. Caerwent has a very impressive charm. It houses a truly amazing collection of remains that really give a sense of how people lived, worked and worshipped here so many years ago. Whilst there are only the remnants of buildings to look at where these have been uncovered, the size of the area really does make it interesting, especially if you are interested in the Romans. We really hope that you've enjoyed this video today. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button, click on our notification bell and even hit that subscribe button. We want to say a big thanks to Dave's Adventures for joining us over on Patreon. We really appreciate your support. If you are interested in further ways to help and support us, then please consider having a look at ways to help. So we'll see you in the next one. Till next time.